Great to have you along for the ride. Thanks a lot for stopping by. Really glad to have this guy back. Friend of mine. Of course, you know him as the former press secretary for the White House. And also, he's the host of Spicer and Company and NewsmaxTV. It's Sean Spicer. Sean, how are you?
I'm fantastic, Joe. How are you?
I'm living the dream, man. You know, we're sort of living a nightmare, though, when we look at what's happening in the Middle East. And I'm guessing when you were the press secretary, by the way, Sean's got a brand new book coming out called Radical Nation. Make sure you get that and watch him on Spicer and Company every night at 6 p.m. Eastern time. When President Trump was in there, he first of all ran for president saying we're going to get out of Afghanistan. I can't find an American who didn't want us to get out of Afghanistan. But, Sean, this isn't the way. This is not the way that we thought we were going to do it.
No, it's a straw man argument when the President Biden says, I am following. It's like literally saying, I want to go to dinner tonight. And someone else saying, yeah, you wanted to go to dinner too, so I ended up just taking you to McDonald's instead of a good meal. That's not like, it's how you do it that matters. And what happened is we saw a complete lack of planning and preparation. Joe, I was up in New England this weekend. There was a hurricane inbound.
Right.
I swear I spent more time preparing for the hurricane than this administration spent getting ready for the withdrawal of Afghanistan. The idea that we left 600,000, not 600, 600,000 rifles that the Taliban now has, that our taxpayers paid for and our military had, is ridiculous. The idea that we left Blackhawks, we left them an entire Air Force to the Taliban.
What was the plan, though, Sean? I mean, we trained these military members over there in Afghanistan. We were paying them way too much money. What was the plan? Did we really think that they were going to fight against the Taliban, or would they have fought against the Taliban had we given them proper support? I mean, we just got up and left. They had no support. They had to lay their arms down. Did we really think they were going to be a fighting force?
I think the way in which you leave, right, matters. And so it's about, I mean, there's so many aspects of this. There's the personnel piece. We gave up our embassy, we gave up all of our munitions, we gave up our equipment, and now we're paying the price. We're trying to get our own people out, for goodness sake. Never mind the Afghans. So, but with respect to the Afghan force, I mean, I think there's ways that we could have done this incrementally and kind of seen whether or not they could stand on their own. I don't know how long they would have been able to sustain each other, but I think that's a separate question than could we still have withdrawn effectively.
The Taliban saw, by the way, Sean Spicer, former White House press secretary, the host of Spicer and Company and NewsmaxTV, 6 p.m. Monday through Friday Eastern time, also has a new book coming out called Radical Nation. I talked to President Trump last week, as you may not know. I had an extensive interview with him, and he said this was never the plan. We would never have taken the military out first. A 5-year-old would know not to take the military out first. What on God's green earth could Biden or Harris or Obama, whoever's running the joint, I don't think it's Biden, whoever's running the joint, what could they have been thinking, saying, yeah, let's take the military out first. That'll be fine.
Well, not just that, but I mean, a lot of people go, well, it's Trump's plan. Like, Trump's a businessman at the end of the day, right? Do you really think that he would have left all that equipment there?
Not a chance.
I mean, he would have been like, this is not until that happens. I think Biden was so convinced that he was right that he wasn't willing to listen to any of these other folks about how to do it. And again, this comes back to withdraw. It was all about how to withdraw.
Right. And the bottom line for me is I don't think anybody's talking to Joe Biden, to be honest with you. I know that you and I have talked about this where you actually had meetings with the president. The president told you what he thought. The president told you what his agenda was. He told you what the plan was. We're getting word that Jen Psaki never talks to this guy. Sean, in your heart of hearts, is Joe Biden running the country or somebody else running it?
I think Ron Klain, the chief of staff, is definitely, pretty much making most of the decisions. But you're right about the access. I mean, I thought it was odd when President Biden said that he'd only been in the residence twice during his 8-year tenure as vice president. I mean, I think I was in the residence twice on Monday.
That's right. Exactly right.
But it's true. I mean, I talked to President Trump last night. I mean, he was always accessible, whether it was walking in the Oval Office, going into the residence. There's no question they've created a very tight circle around this guy. And if you're not among those, Steve Ricchetti, the counselor, Ron Klain, Kate Bedingfield, they're not getting in to see him.
It's crazy. Radical Nation's the name of the book. His name is Sean Spicer, of course. Sean, Radical Nation is about what's happening at the border, and I'm not far from the border now in San Antonio. The bottom line is Texas has an influx of illegals coming in. So does Arizona. So does New Mexico. So does California. But we're seeing a surge in COVID cases. Former President Trump said it's 21% coming across have COVID. I know Ted Cruz has said at least 10% coming across have COVID. Nobody's being forced to wear a mask. Nobody's being vaccinated. And then we see the numbers rising. So we're already in danger there. But in your book, you outline the fact that you got a 21-year high illegal immigration crossings in this country now. And Biden says and Harris says they inherited this from you and Trump. What's the truth here?
I mean, I don't look. I've seen interviews even on ABC News where the people at the border literally were asked by the correspondent, "Are you coming because it's Biden?" They're wearing Biden T-shirts,
right,
not wearing Trump T-shirts, and they were very clear. But here's the thing that I in the book I make very clear. You have to understand what I call the why, right? In this book, Radical Nation is the first comprehensive look at the Biden-Harris administration. Why are they letting people come over the border? Why are they allowing them to come over with COVID? Why is because they look at these people as future Democratic voters. And people sit back and say, Sean, that is so cynical. How can you dare say that? Well, I go, look, here's the situation. Under President Trump, we had remain in Mexico. You can process these people if they are truly refugees, if they is their humanitarian case. You could test them for COVID the way they, but they're not. So why is that not happening?
Right.
The same thing with Afghanistan. Why? There's so much of the why that needs to get asked. I write in the book, why do you think they want D.C. to become a state? It's not because they want them to give the right to vote. That's easy. You just give back the part of D.C. that used to be Maryland back to Maryland.
Right.
The same way they did with Virginia. The reason is it gets them 2 more Democratic senators. Always figure out the why. And the why, and with respect to the border, is because they look at these folks as future Democratic voters.
Former White House Press Secretary Sean Spicer, host of Spicer and Company on Newsmax TV. New book is called Radical Nation. Sean, I don't think people realize how dangerous it is right now for Border Patrol agents. First of all, they don't have anybody in the White House backing them like they did with Trump and like they did with you and the others in the administration. But secondly, they're being, I mean, the cartels are now emboldened. They're threatening our Border Patrol, and then they're backing it up by shooting across the border. This happens a lot, doesn't it?
I'm looking at this right now. I'm trying to find it for you as we let me see if I can pull this up. Yeah, there's a headline in Newsmax today. Just 12 border agents patrol 245-mile stretch in Texas.
Wow.
12 agents, Joe. 12 agents, 245. Now, I went to a liberal arts college, but 12 and 245 is 20. So each person is 20 plus miles that they're going for. I mean, that's just ridiculous.
So are they doing it just to say, yeah, we're there, we're on the border, we got the whole thing covered? Because they're not doing anything, obviously.
Yes, they need to be able to. So every time folks on the right go, Kamala Harris isn't doing her job. Stop, she is. They're just providing enough talking point cover to moderate and, suburban Democrats who are a little bit worried about this. Saying, oh, no, we're trying. But at the end of the day, it's not tough. This isn't, rocket science. If you want to stop people at the border, we know how to do it. President Trump did it. It's easy. Remain in Mexico. All these other things. Build stronger, barriers to get people not to come in. It's not a tough thing to do. They undid all those policies. They encouraged people to come. And when you're told don't come, but if you do, here's what we're going to give you, guess what happened? The reality is every bit of this policy could be changed in 2 seconds. And they know exactly how to do it, and they're choosing not to.
Yeah, in fact, the Northern Triangle made good deals with President Trump because Trump said no more money for you if you don't do something about it. Sean Spicer, SeanSpicer.com. Go there right now. Get the book. It's forthcoming. When does it come out, Sean? Is it soon?
It's right now it's available for pre-order on Amazon. Newsmax actually created a link, newsmax.com/23. I don't know what 23 is, but I like it.
Okay.
Or it does come out. It publishes and delivers on October 26th.
Called Radical Nation. Make sure you go and get that. Watch Spicer and Company every night. When it comes to the border, we learned something with the Cuba situation, didn't we? What we heard from Mayorkas was we're not going to take the Cuban refugees. They're looking for asylum, but we'll take people across the border from Mexico. Why? Because Cubans in America, in Little Havana in Miami, voted for Trump. That's why.
Right. See, but that comes back to what I was saying before, Joe. It's all about the why. And the why is because we want certain people who will come into the country and vote Democrat. We don't want other people who might come in and be more potentially conservative. It's so simple. And the problem that exists is that it's in front of our faces, and we have a media that is complicit with this administration and shares their goals and therefore won't do anything about it.
Many people say you also cover in the book Big Tech, and again, it's called go and get it right now from Sean Spicer, called Radical Nation. Big Tech. I thought there was an opportunity when we had the House, the Senate, and the presidency to do something about 230. Was there not enough backbone in the House of Representatives or something? Why didn't we do something when we had those 2 years where some change might have been made? Because right now they're just clamping down. Big Tech says we've got the billions, we've got the sway, we've got the power, and we did everything we could in 2020 to make sure Trump didn't get reelected. Why didn't we do something?
Huge strategic mistake. Huge strategic mistake. I think part of it was there was always something that was a bigger priority, number one. Number two, there was slight disagreement about what to do. Some people said, you know, from a purely conservative standpoint, you were saying, well, do we really want to be on record regulating these folks? But at the end of the day, here's what people need to understand about Section 230 that you brought up, that's part of the 1996 Decency Act. It gives them special protection. So this is about just treating them like a normal company, treating them like a publisher of any other, newspaper or Joe Pags or Sean Spicer. They get special carve-outs right now under the law. And all that I think people have to realize is that they shouldn't be. They should be treated just the same. That would give you and I and anybody else that's been defamed by them, that's been treated, to actually go in and challenge them in court, which is pretty much not an opportunity that is able to be availed of itself at this point because of the protections they have.
And why didn't we take a look at it? I mean, this is from 1996. I mean, 2009 was when Twitter really took off, and Facebook and all that. This was not planning for Twitter, Facebook, and all these Instagram that could really stifle us. And they advertised as, we're the open forum. We're the new town hall. Don't go to the town square. We've got it right online. Go on your device. And then when you get there, you might be banned if you look like Sean Spicer and Joe Pags. It doesn't make any sense. And when they took the president down with 84 or 87 million followers, wasn't that enough? I mean, enough is enough, right?
But here's the problem. They took the president down, but they don't take the Taliban down.
Right. They're still there. Yep. And China.
Right. So it's not, look, and again, it goes back to the why. It comes back to the why, because they're threatened by the president. They're threatened by the fact that if they can't use their platforms to peddle liberal BS and an orthodoxy and a socialist agenda, then they're screwed. And what happens is you see someone like President Trump and other conservatives develop big followings that get a large amount of engagement. It threatens the agenda.
Yeah, it does. It's Sean Spicer, SeanSpicer.com. Get his book called Radical Nation. You can pre-order it right now. Always watch Spicer and Company. I'm on the air at the same time, Sean, but you know that I DVR it every night, and I watch it every night, and I appreciate you. Come back often, my friend. Thank you so much for this book, and thanks for the hard work you've done for our country. Thank you.
It's always great being with you.
All right, brother. We're back after this. Stay right here.